round 9 of the 2018 FF1M Championship, and we head to a circuit that is the home race for many teams on this roster. One of the teams is Tornado, and joining me is the Tornado team boss and my favourite little pup, Tobias Wolf.
Hello, folks.
That was a bad intro from me. Anyway. But anyway, the last race at the Österreichring, Väinö Kimmonen's performance to keep up with the dog theme was Alpha. Beat Farina in a straight fight, and yeah, very good victory.
Yes, it was a solid victory. I was really taken by surprise more than anything by the layout that was used for it. I went into it thinking it was, just going to be the Red Bull ring that we know of today. But when I saw it was the old Ostrich ring, and maybe it's my fault for like overlooking that, but that was I was like, wow, this is a turn up for the book.
Yep, and indeed it was Kimmonen from Farina and Clark, and some standout performances from that last race. I'll gave drive of the day to Esteban Ocon, who took his first career points with a very, very good drive to 5th.
Yes, I do. I do. Ocon finished incredibly highly. Very good result for Monolith. And here we've got pre-qualifying, and Galaxy, rather unsurprisingly on the hard tyre, have failed to qualify again in Group A. And then Group B, GRM. Oh, GRM! That's the first time they've not qualified for a race.
Absolutely, I was going to introduce that as there's a milestone race for one of the drivers this weekend, but there isn't because Valtteri Bottas was supposed to be celebrating his 100th race. He's going to have to wait. But yeah, first time GRM have failed to make a race this season, which means that for the first time we've got all 3 Heart teams in the race: AJ, Monolith, and Tilsley.
More Heart engines to blow up then.
More so, and only one Megatron team in the form of Shake and Bake, but it is the Mugen-powered Alessandro Farina taking his 4th consecutive pole from Sebastian Vettel in the Andrew. Then it's the number 2 drivers of Clark and Ricciardo, 3rd and 4th. 5th is one of your drivers, Charles Leclerc, ahead of Kevin Magnussen, who was quickest in the Saturday practice. And the news gets a bit better for you because Leclerc was 2nd in warm-up.
Ooh, I got to say, 5th place based on recent qualifying performances is a pretty good result. I know 10, not bad, definitely winnable. Yep,
and we've got an all-heart row 6 of George Russell and Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg aren't qualifying Ocon this time. And then we've got Max Verstappen 13th ahead of Nolan Bryant down in 14th. Lately we have seen Shake and Bakes leaning more towards a race setup. They were actually on the mediums for qualifying. And then we've got Mattia Alfonsi and Antonio Giovinazzi 15th and 16th. Tilsley's very quick in a straight line, I've noticed. And then it's an old Judd row 9 of Roman Grosjean, and the first of the CBAs, Thomas Gonzalez. He's actually in the other room next to me, and he won't be too pleased with that.
I'm sure he's listening in.
He's watching Pointless as well with Alexander Armstrong. And the back row, Kimi Räikkönen and Caterina Caracciola. And Caracciola have sort of reduced to the mule just to help make the car a bit better.
I figured you've gone race heavy with Caterina.
She did top the warm-up.
Yeah, that is very indicative though.
I did put some setup on Magnussen for the Friday, and that's probably why he topped Saturday practice, but he was only 10th in warm-up, and I have a feeling that I might have gone a bit conservative on the racers. So we'll see how Magnussen's race goes, but it should be a good one, because this is quite a long highlights package.
Alright.
Getting ready for the race start. A new camera angle for this is normally somewhere else, and the 5 lights have gone out. And Farina away pretty well. Vettel holding on to 2nd with Clark 3rd. Short run to Copse Corner, which probably helps out for Alessandro Farina. What's happened? Clark's up to 2nd, Leclerc up to 3rd already, nearly. Ooh, that's close, but Vettel just about hanging on.
He's. I thought Charles was gonna hold it there into third, but he doesn't quite. And now we've got the two Gajiras fighting out at the front. Clark going the unfavoured side on his teammate, doesn't make the move. Charles, though, does go the correct side on Vettel and does make the move up into third. And Alonso fifth, Magnussen sixth, Ricciardo seventh, and eighth, Hamilton first with the Mitchells. And Kinnunen has also made a place, from what I can tell, in ninth. Yeah,
poor start from Daniel Ricciardo from fourth on the grid, dropping down to seventh behind Leclerc, Alonso and Magnussen. Alonso getting away pretty well, up to fifth from seventh on the grid, and Alonso was fifth fastest in the warm-up, but it's the two Gajiras at the front with Leclerc very quickly closing in.
Yes, it looks like maybe Clark. I didn't quite catch how much fuel Farina's got, but what I did catch at the beginning in the preview was that there's going to be a mixture of strategies between 2 and 3 stop. That's going to be quite interesting.
Alonso taking fourth from Sebastian Vettel going into Copse Corner, and here is a replay of that move.
Quite a bit back there, and then he sort of gets extra momentum there from midway down the straight, and he blasts it down on the inside of Copse. Who said you couldn't do that at Copse?
Just ask Verstappen and Hamilton. That's triggered some, but let's see the run down the hangar straight. Clark now goes the correct side, and he's looking for the race lead. He's going to send his home fans into a frenzy if he makes this move stick into Stowe, which he does. James Clark leads on lap 2.
I'm thinking perhaps I didn't quite catch that. I think Farina's probably got more fuel, because this season Farina has been the quicker driver consistently. But I didn't quite catch it. The Clark is probably is likely on a free stop.
Yeah, definitely. He's got less fuel. Farina has a bit more fuel. He could be 2-stopping, and Leclerc also looks as if he's on a 2-stop strategy. So I think Clark needs to make this one count if he's going to out-strategise his rivals.
Yes, absolutely. And we've got Charles here trying to tee up Farina the same way Alonso did on Vettel a lap earlier. He's on the inside.
That was a close one.
On top, the drag doesn't quite do it.
Not quite. And just behind, I think Vettel is under pressure from Magnussen. I think Magnussen had just about caught a glimpse of it. He is on a 2-stop strategy also, which I think probably should be the correct strategy.
Switches back to the inside, but doesn't quite have the confidence on the brakes.
And Clark steadily pulling away.
But he's looking Alonso in trouble, and he's pulling off. First major retirement of the race. Fernando Alonso out of the British Grand Prix.
That happened at the exit of Stowe Corner, and Magnussen had just taken Vettel as well for what is now 4th position. So Alonso sauntering on the grass and is looking for a safe place to pull off.
We've got Charles still hassling Farina for second, who is holding him up and allowing Clark to build a little bit of a gap. But I've got to say, if Clark is and it was suspension for Alonso, if Clark is going to win this race on the free stop, I think he needs more pace than this.
He's going to have to make use out of his softer Goodyear tyres. He's on the softs, as are quite a lot of the field. Looks like, is it 11 on softs, 4 on hards, and the rest on mediums. And here's Kinnunen.
On the inside of Pardo into Cop, easy as it goes. And Leclerc on Farina for second. He's gone the correct side this time, and I think he's done it. Yes, he has.
Charles Leclerc up to second, winner of the United States Grand Prix at Road America in what was a bit of a bloodbath with only eight cars finishing. Didn't go so well for him in the last race though. It's been an inconsistent season for both my drivers really. We've shown good pace, but the reliability just has been quite flaky. You have tended to favour the race setup more than qualifying. We've got some yellows at Abbey. I'll move back to the thought in a moment, but yellows quickly retrieved. Is it Thomas Gonzalez about to collide with a Tills? It's a Monolith, and a quick spin, but should rejoin.
And I hope I hope the CBA boss didn't hear that in the other room.
He's choosing to ignore what I've just said, I think.
We've got Hamilton on Vettel, quite a way back, and Vettel's going to hang it round the outside, and he just about holds on.
There were more yellows at Beckett, so has somebody crashed out? Let's find out in a moment.
Quite likely, or maybe someone just pulled off. Oh no, Russell,
and is Hulkenberg in amongst that as well? Yeah, well, it's a completely different story for Hulkenberg with an engine failure, and Ocon as well. With
oh wow.
Both monoliths out of the race.
Oh, well, this is going to be interesting.
So Hulkenberg has already blown up, going through maggots, and then does he get rammed from behind, perhaps? Or, well, he pulls off, so where do Ocon... Oh, right, so... Oh, goodness me, that is a pile-up.
That, well, I think I have to put that down to Hulkenberg. You've got to... because his engine's already gone, and his teammate has just gone off completely all by himself.
That was Russell going off, and then Ocon...
Ah, right.
So it was a Willows, and then an AJ.
Well, that's just poor driving all round that, both from Russell and Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg should have pulled off a lot earlier, slowed up the pack, caused the concertina effect, and then you've got Russell, who already had his own crash, possibly from oil, and then he rejoins the track in a completely unsafe way and takes out the other monolith.
Just created an accordion, just one of those perfect storm moments. But so Vettel has gone off, has he? I think Vettel has just gone off. So skidding off on Hulkenberg's water, perhaps.
Yes,
out of the race, Sebastian Vettel.
Well, I suppose at least Andrew can't blame the climax on that one.
Now you're going to see going to the right. Let's say he gets caught out on the leftover water from Hulkenberg's engine and smashing into the barriers.
I feel like this race is going to be a high attrition rate again.
Yeah, once you see somebody retire on lap 2, you can probably guess that it's going to be a bit of a bloodbath race. So we're on board with Bucknam. Does he get hit?
Uh-oh.
He does! No, Chuck Bucknam. That's unlucky.
Lost his front wing and... Well, suddenly a two-stop race for him.
And Verstappen as well. In that Jesse B powered car. And is there another one? Is it Gonzalez versus... Yeah, Gonzalez as well.
I tell you what, that loose wheel is going to make it all the way around the circuit. Do a whole lap at this rate. Just getting pinballed around by everyone.
He could do a whole lap if he wanted to. That wheel, Was that Daniel Ricciardo? Yes, this is making his way back through the field. So, and I was about to point out that Andrews were not particularly quick in warm-up, but Vettel has stacked it, and Ricciardo's down in 8th. So, back to the original point, which was that you seem to have tended to go more for a race setup, because qualifying has tended not to be that spectacular, but in the race, you're very quick.
Yes, to simply put, the races are where the points are won, not in qualifying, although at the same time, I think we've maybe a couple of races this season gone too heavy on race setup, and we started too far back, and that's cost us, and we've ended up in traffic and other people's incidents. It's trying to getting the balance right is the key, and Gonzalez jumped Verstappen in the pits.
Yep, so Gonzalez up to 14th, and I think it's 17 drivers that are still in the race. So with the two AJs, 16th and 17th. I can't recall if Alfonsi had to pit as well as Kimi Räikkönen, but considering that Alfonsi's down in 17th, he must have had to pit as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's the balance of like qualifying well or having a race set up, but then having to make your way through the field that's the key to 2018. And despite his 3-stop strategy, Clark is not getting away from Leclerc.
No, he's assuming that Charles is also on a 2-stop and Clark is on a 3. This is. He's not even pulling away from Charles at this point. But Farina is still in range at this point, and all it takes, as we've seen, one critical mistake, and then he's back in the driving seat for this race.
Absolutely, and I'm just looking at the other Tornado's progress, and Kinnunen now 1.1 seconds behind Kevin Magnussen and lapping significantly faster, so I'm expecting Kinnunen to move up ahead of Magnussen pretty shortly, and especially on that hangar straight where my car is at its weakest. I'm working on it.
Is that a message to all the other judge teams?
It's a message to myself because my car's been pretty weak in a straight line. Austria was at its worst, and if anything, a point was a save for me. And yeah, because that's my car's strength is definitely not in a straight line. So Kinnunen now 4 tenths behind Magnussen.
You're not going to want to hear this, but speak of the devil. The next races that are coming up, and Kinnunen's done a bit of a switcheroo there, and he switches to the correct side and doesn't really lose any time stuck behind Magnussen there, although he's going defensive here, but I think he should hold it.
He's
yellows. Definitely the faster driver at this point, although I think Vino could be on a 3-stop. And Ricciardo, what's he up to? Is he doing the same thing? Well, not this. Oh, he's gone off just like Sebastian, but at Cops, and he's going to rejoin.
Oh no, that's out of the race. No. That was Antonio Giovinazzi who went into the back of him.
That was, There seems to be a theme developing this race with unsafe rejoins.
Absolutely. So here it is from onboard Giovinazzi's perspective on the hard Firestone tyres, and I mean, he could really have seen that one coming a bit better. But
yeah, interesting to see that we're getting these unsafe rejoins. Normally, I'd say in recent times the drivers would wait in the if they're in the gravel, they would wait until there was a gap. But this race, it seems like they go off and then they rejoin instantly, and they don't they don't consider all the any traffic running past.
Yeah, they're removing all sense of courtesy for this race only. I think the teams have said, right, this is our home race, we're going to do well.
Well, I was trying to say also beforehand was that the next races that are coming up are, with the exception of Hungary, are very power-heavy circuits. Obviously, the old Hockenheim, Spa, and even more so after that, Monza.
Yes, so it'd be a good time to bring an engine upgrade for that, which I am planning to do for Hockenheim. So I was wondering whether to bring one for this race, but Silverstone is not that much of a power circuit, so it's best to wait. And so far I've still got all 6 Judd runners in this race. Where's the nearest piece of wood to make sure that that's still the case in the next 40 odd laps? I can't find any. Wait for the blow up.
Well, so far, for the climax gang, the Andrew drivers have certainly let down the crew there.
And the one Megatron remaining, Nolan Bryant, in 7th place. Who else is there? The Mugans. I think all the Mugen runners are still running as well, all 4 of them. 1st, 3rd, 6th and 11th. And 2 hearts left in both the AJs. just briefly back on the Österreichring, so that was Kimmonen's, was it 9th win? But it was actually your 2nd win at the Österreichring variant, because in the 1986 season you had Alain Prost winning for you.
Oh, so that's a very, very long time ago now.
32 schmears ago.
I think I was probably still going to school at the time.
And that was your 4th Austrian win in a row, because 2015 you had Alonso, 16 Perez, and 17 it was Grosjean. So you go well at Austria.
Yes, has been a happy hunting ground.
Not as happy as Monza, I have to say, because not since 2006 you've not been on the podium. Since 2007 you've been on the podium in every race at Monza. That I'm more impressed by.
Yes, not bad.
So back to the action for a brief moment, because although he's caught up to Clark, Leclerc hasn't managed to get close to have a go, but Clark is on that 3-stop strategy, and Leclerc fairly certain's on a 2-stop, as with Farina and Magnussen. And in fact, Clark is pitting at the end of this lap.
It's possible that maybe, like, although unlikely, that Charles could be on a 3-stop as well. It's just that maybe he's gone for a long first stint or something. But hopefully not. Us team principals, we're not able to determine how many pit stops our drivers are going to make and when. But if I was able to, I would prefer the 2-stop.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a long pit lane here as well. You spend quite a long time on the limiter. So Clark, he'll rejoin in 7th behind Nolan Bryant. So he needs to make this next phase count, but a very fast stop, 4.9 seconds. And it's now Charles Leclerc leading the race.
Maximum 21 laps of fuel. Maybe he could still do a 2-stop, but it would be a long final stint. But I think more likely a 3.
More likely a 3, yes. So the water has been cleared at the exit of Beckett's and Chapel as we switch to Caterina Caracciola. She's been stuck behind Mason Taylor for quite a while. And is she going to have a look at club? Well, not quite. And again, this is the lack of straight line speed that FJR have compared to the CBA, who tend to go quite aggressive on their errs.
Because the CBA has the Judd engine as well, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of other variables, aren't there, to determine straight line speed. There's the ERS setting, and then there's the aerodynamic efficiency as well.
Yes. And yeah, my aerodynamic efficiency is getting better. I've been testing that, but it's not just top speed that it affects, it's acceleration as well, which is why Monaco, although there's not a lot of straights, there's not a lot of high-speed corners, so it's more about traction and gaining that lost speed. So yeah, I didn't go as well as Monaco compared to, let's say, Shake and Make, who have got a car that's pretty good in a straight line. Speaking of which, Bryant's in the pits.
Yes, the sole remaining Shake and Bake.
And that's borderline between 2 and 3 stops, a 6.3 second pit stop, 20 laps, and Taylor in the pits as well. So Caracciola has been released for a few laps, and let's see how much fuel Taylor takes on board as well.
And that last lap, Clark went quicker than anybody else. And Vino is now due in the pits. I think he's probably on a 3-stop.
Possibly. I've just briefly noticed that pit exit in previous seasons, they've tended to slow down just before hitting the racetrack. It looked like Bryant's was on full pelt coming out of the pit exit back onto the circuit proper, so that's a little fix that I'm sure will go down pretty well.
Well, it's a slower stop than Clark's, and less fuel as well. So a poorer stop all round that for Vino. My pit crew mechanics, they keep changing their colours every race weekend.
They do indeed, but rejoining in some nice clear track, so he'll be able to use his medium Firestones well as we switch to Clark in 5th place. And now we switch to the 2 CBAs in 11th and 12th. Mason Taylor on his new tyres, chasing Gonzalez, who suffered damage earlier on.
This is the time where you call your papa.
I'm just looking over. Maybe if I speak a little bit loudly to their battle, he might have a little peek.
Gonzalez, he's out of sync in this race with that front wing change earlier on with that loose wheel that him and like half a dozen other drivers got caught out from.
So ideally he'll need to let Mason Taylor through, so let's see what happens as we come onto the Hanger Straight. Mason goes briefly to the left, but not to the right. I don't think he's got enough unless his grip from new tyres works well, which it does. Up the inside at Stowe, and Gonzalez trying to hang on, but Taylor should have the high ground for Club Corner. Outbreaks the Argentine, and that's a position. So I'm having a brief look. Lewis Hamilton's catching up to Kevin Magnussen. Mitchell have gotten a bit more competitive in previous races. Hamilton's shown a better turn of speed.
Yeah, the Mitchells, for me, rather surprisingly actually, has come good in recent races. I thought honestly they were going to really struggle to, score points with having. But they didn't end last season too good, and this season, and they kept their old car going into this year. So they have exceeded my expectations in recent races anyway.
Some of that could be down to the Mugen engine upgrades, but it could also be Mitchell concentrating on setup on the Fridays to give them a better setup car for the following 2 days. So not developing the car, but just owning what they've got into the actual weekend. So that's a theory, as Charles Leclerc definitely 2 stopping because he took on 23 laps of fuel. Rejoins 3rd behind Clark, but Clark is 3 stopping. So looking good for Leclerc at the moment, as Magnussen, please red flag the race now because he is leading. So Hamilton in the pits as well.
I think we have had a couple of red flags in FF1M before, haven't we?
Sometimes, yes, and I'll get onto those in a moment because Hamilton rejoined right behind Magnussen's teammate Caterina Caracciola. Magnussen's going to do at least one more lap, so Caracciola doing Magnussen a bit of a favour. And
with that quicker pit stop, and the pressure tyres, Clark has increased his lead on Charles by 5 seconds. I think that's what I caught from that. Yeah, and also Kimmonen has done the undercut on Farina, although we think Kimmonen has to do one extra stop.
Well spotted, and Kimmonen is the fastest driver on the circuit at the moment, as Caracciola rejoins 13th, a long way ahead of Raikkonen, and now Magnussen into pits. So yes, you mentioned red flags. There have been a couple. There's 2006 Singapore because they couldn't move Alexander Wurz out of the way. And then 2012 at Road America where everybody went off at Moraine Corner. And then, let's say in the law, there have been a few in the 93 Classic races because I think they had to stop South Africa because drivers were not driving properly. And then at Monza that year where there was just a massive pile-up and drivers constantly cutting the chicanes because they were carrying too much fuel.
That's a really interesting one, isn't it?
And speaking of interesting, Hamilton has jumped Kevin Magnussen for position. And, well, both are 2 stopping, so that is legit. Hamilton ahead and looking for another podium in front of his home crowd. Last up on the podium in 2016, I think, when he was 2nd for Mitchell. Still driving for Mitchell, yeah.
The fresh tyres here are pretty effective, it has to be said. And the undercut especially powerful. Charles is catching back up again to Clark because his tyres are a few laps newer. But I think behind him, Timonen is going even quicker because he's got the slightly lighter car at this point.
Yeah, he took on a little bit less fuel compared to some others as he made his first of 3 stops a little later, so he'll be able to use his tyres a little bit more.
So maybe I think what we could have here is 2 different races. We have obviously Clark and Timonen, they're on the 3 stop, and you've got Charles and Farina on the 2 stop. Although Farina has dropped back a bit now, 6 seconds to Charles, but I still refuse to count him out of contention.
As we ride on board with Mason Taylor looking for 8th place off of Chuck Bucknam, and he gets it going into Stowe. Keep an eye on the gap between Clark and Hamilton and Magnussen, because it takes about 20 to 25 seconds to make a pit stop round here, and in fact the gap is coming down.
And we've skipped. Charles has caught Clark up pretty quickly here on this lap.
Yeah, Clark is not quick in this stint of the race, so I don't know if he went a bit too... didn't do enough race setup, but yeah, he's coming under pressure as yellow's at club corner, so I think somebody's had a mechanical. Keep an eye on who that could be.
I'm seeing who's tumbling down the order.
It could be one of the AJs.
Yeah, it could. I'm not seeing any changes. Yeah, and Charles is going through on the inside and makes the move straight away, not holding back. Just before the yellow flag zone, we might see who's the reason for that yellow. And it looked like, yeah, that is an AJ.
That is the 5th Hart out of the race, and this one is down to Hart. There's no water in it.
But it did let off a pretty good fart.
And it could be seeing a Tornado 1-2 soon, because Kinnunen is pressuring James Clark into Copse Corner, lap 27, and he's just about got it, or is Clark trying to hang on?
Well, look, he's hanging on in there, and he's side by side. Nah, Clark holds on for now.
Yes, but his 3-stop strategy isn't working out well.
Certainly at this stage of the race, and Kinnunen, he's likely also on a 3-stopper, so this is more of a relevant battle, if you like. But yeah, still the yellows are going now, and Kinnunen rightfully backs out of that move. If he tried to make a move there at that point, that was only going one way. Although
looking up the inside into Abbey, but that's sensibly backing out of that one. But these two on the same 3-stop strategy, so this one is legitimately 4th position for the moment.
And Kinnunen still stuck to Clark's gearbox. Just has to be a bit patient here.
Yep, as starting another lap 28, nearly at half distance, but not quite.
Clark had really good traction out of that last corner, and that meant Kinnunen wasn't so close this time, although I think Kinnunen will be in a better position on the hanger straight.
Went to the left but now to the right, and that looks pretty good in a straight line for Kinnunen as he moves up into 2nd place ahead of James Clark. So the two Gajerias now down to 3rd and 4th. It may get worse for Clark, he's definitely on course to rejoin behind Magnussen.
Job done for Kinnunen, and now he's hopefully pull away from Clark and maybe go after Arena at the end on his final stint. I think that's probably that's the goal. But this has been a race of attrition so far, and this year's reliability for us has not been has not been the best. So
Speak for yourself. Mine's been atrocious this season. I think I've worked it out. It's about 56% for all Judd runners, and that's basically mechanical failures across the board rather than strictly engine. Caracciola has had mechanical issues in all races this season. That's how bad it's been.
every single race.
Yes, Australia, she had to pit early for her first stop due to an issue. Kyalami, another issue. Then car failures in the next 4 races. Then Montreal had another unscheduled pit stop. She could have been 8th after the GRM's disqualification, but lo and behold, she was 9th. And maybe 7th, actually. Anyway, she would have been in the points, but yeah, she's definitely on course to win the Van Dorn Award for the unluckiest driver of the season.
And Immonen is now due in the pits. I can't quite remember if I think Clark's got a couple more laps of fuel. Clark is he's not got any pace at this point. Farina's now almost on the back of him as well as Vino makes his second pit stop.
Yep, from second place, and and Clark in as well.
Clark in as well. Okay. That battle with the and that confirms the three stop race. But there was little doubt in that. Yeah, just watching Caracciola on the back of Taylor, or was it Gonzalez? One of the CBAs, and Kinnunen rejoined in 5th. The CBA was much quicker in a straight line.
CBA has been very quick in a straight line all season, so we saw that in Mugello when Taylor invented his own line to overtake other drivers. As we switch to Magnussen in the slipstream of Hamilton, can he get him into Stowe corner, or is he going to be not as brave on the brakes? He is brave on the brakes. They're side by side. Magnussen has the high line, the outside line into club corner. Can he do it? He did this last season and he's done it again. Magnussen moves up into 3rd place. And with Kinnunen and Clark having just made their pit stops, that has come at a good time for Magnussen as Bryant and Taylor come into the pits.
And yes, Brian is looking like he's going to finish. It's probably 7th or 8th, battling for the final points with the CBAs and Caracciola.
Yeah, if Caracciola can get past Gonzalez, then I think she's looking good for a point or two. But I need more straight line speed. And Taylor does have one more stop to make, as does Kinnunen, who's now stuck behind Lewis Hamilton. The Mitchells haven't been particularly good in a straight line this season, so I'm expecting this to be a foregone conclusion, but let's see what actually happens.
And is that a slow... is that a slow... I don't know, that FDR in front of Magnussen looked a bit... I don't know, looked like he was getting bigger quite quickly.
Don't scare me
anyway,
like that.
Kinnunen makes the move. Yeah, I don't know, like, he's catching pretty quickly. It might just be the tyres, and it might just be the lack of straight line speed on the FDR end. But he's catching very quickly.
Yeah, that's new tyres right there.
Yeah, they're so effective. It makes you think like anyone out on old tyres in front has got a technical problem, and they're trying to limp back to the pits or something.
But everyone now has one more pit stop to make, so this is a genuine battle for position. I quite fancy Kinnunen going into Kopp's corner to take Magnussen.
Let's have a look. He's got a run here. I think he's that's like taking candy from a baby. That
easy peasy lemon squeezy for Vino Kinnunen, as now he's going to use his new tyres to do something about Vino Kinnunen, who's now about Alessandro Farina, who is 11.6 seconds off of Charles Leclerc's race lead. And Caracciola ahead of Gonzalez now, by the way. Gonzalez pitted.
Yeah, he was going to do something about himself.
And Caracciola got Bryant for company. And this probably will be the
he's
same.
on better tyres, and pretty comfortably gets through.
And my little one was happy with Bryant's overtake. This is Taylor versus Bucknam for 10th place.
Future FF1M champion from the 2030 season.
That's when FJR get liquidated and get taken over by Riot Racing. Hamilton's being caught up by James Clark now for 5th place, so Clark looking to do something about Hamilton.
This is the CBA of Taylor on Bucknam, I think.
Yep, that's for 10th place.
And Bucknam also is he's out of kilter this race because of that troublesome loose wheel earlier,
which affected Max Verstappen and Thomas Gonzalez as well. I think that loose wheel is now at Bridge Corner, if the trajectory is correct.
Will it make a reappearance?
It might do if Marshall is careless.
Just throws it back onto the circuit.
It's like that well-behaved tyre in that V8 supercar race. It just goes down the circuit very obediently and then lands on top of a tyre stack.
I do wonder where, as Taylor is eventually switches to the correct side, but he's not quite close enough to make the move. I've always wondered where Michael Schumacher's wheel went in Spa 98 when he smashed into the back of Coulthard.
Yeah. I think we calculated that that landed somewhere in Zolder.
I was thinking it might have gone to the moon.
There were loads of wheels going off in that race, from that massive pile-up. Is that Clark versus Hamilton into Stoke Corner? It is indeed. James Clark back up to 5th place, now going to set off after Magnussen's 4th place.
Yeah, once again, I thought there was a car in front that had a technical problem, and then I saw it was the FTR.
It was the mobile brick that is the FJR. And he's already caught up to Magnussen. This is for 4th place. Farina's in the pits on the end of this lap.
And yeah, that should be simple pass. Yeah, same way as Timonen got through. And the gap's 17 seconds to Charles. 20 laps to go. I don't know. We'll have to see what Charles's pace is like on this final stint, where he's about to make a pit stop now. He's got a CBA up his backside.
That'll be the lapped one. Gonzalez and Verstappen behind him. So into the pits comes Leclerc for his final pit stop. Probably should get out ahead of James Clark, but will depends on how quick this stop is.
And I think Farina's in this lap as well, isn't he? Yeah. Trying to remember which pit crew is for what team. It changes every race. But I do understand why it changes every race, because of the pre-qualifying format.
And away in 5.9 seconds goes Farina. He's already in 6th place behind Hamilton. Comfortably ahead of Bryant. Bryant was quite a long way behind Lewis Hamilton, so looks like 7th is up for grabs between Bryant versus Caracciola, I think.
Looks like Charles rejoined ahead of Clark, but behind Kinnunen, obviously, who's been going much quicker on those fresher tyres. And Magnussen's due in now for his final stop from 4th place.
And making his pit stop before Lewis Hamilton.
Going to be look set. Your team looks set for a solid point for this race.
Yeah, and after the last few races, which have gone pretty badly, it was last 4 races: Monaco, Road America, Montreal, and the Österreichring. Just 2 points out of that whole venture, and in fact, if you include Aragon, just 4 points from from all of that. Yellows at Club Corner, so let's keep an eye out on that one. It's the first Judd out of the race.
Right. I'm looking at the leaderboard and seeing if, like, whenever there's a yellow, and I see if any of my drivers are dropping down the leaderboard.
Not on this occasion, as Hamilton exits the pits in 4.6 seconds. Magnussen should retake the position just across the start-finish line there, and there goes Magnussen. So that's going to be their battle for 5th place, I think. Magnussen versus Hamilton.
But Lewis will be on slightly fresher tyres. But we're interested to see if he can come back there. Caracciola also making her final stop. And Kinnunen in this lap. Charles has been catching him with the fresher tyres. I think if I had to make a prediction, assuming that there's no unreliability or no silly mistakes, I think Charles is probably far enough ahead to get to the finish before Kinnunen can catch up. Although I think Farina is definitely a vulnerable target.
Well, Kinnunen will have the freshest of the fresh tyres, along with Clark. So the last part of the race is now dependent on whether Kinnunen can catch up to Farina for what will be second.
Yeah, it's solid enough pit stop. And he's already behind Clark, but Clark will have to stop again. Farina's just gone past now. Just looking at the where it says the position, like P4 at the top there. Yeah,
that's doable for Kinnunen.
Yeah, I think Farina's definitely doable. And he's just lapping a Willow, so it must be Verstappen. Yeah. And Clark is in this lap.
Bryant in the pits as well, as is Taylor. And I think, is Gonzalez due a pit stop as well? He might be.
Yeah, I think it's likely Gonzalez, if because of the front wing change earlier, but even if he doesn't have to stop again, I think he's going to be very vulnerable from behind with those on fresher tyres, and we've seen how effective, the fresh tyres are this race.
And I think Bryant has stayed ahead of Caracciola.
Yeah, I think Gonzalez will do very well if he's not stopping again to hold on to that P7. As Kinnunen laps the sole remaining Willows in his pursuit of Farina, now less than 1.5 seconds. With 12 laps to go, I think it's more of a case of just has to, not scruff it up, like hit the back of Farina or something, then spin round. That's the most sort of common scenario for messing up an overtake on Grand Prix 4 with the physics that it had.
Yeah, and by the way, Clark rejoined from his final pit stop behind Magnussen and Hamilton, so Clark's 3-stop strategy really not working out, leading the early stages of the race, and has ended up 6th. I don't think his car was set up.
Yeah, Clark has Clark has fallen off quite a bit, especially after that first stint. First stint, he was at least staying in front of Charles, but after that, he lost his mojo a little bit.
Absolutely, and maybe the pressure of the occasion, but I suspect it is down to his race setup not being as well tuned as, let's say, Charles Leclerc, and maybe even the soft tyres as well were perhaps the wrong choice to go for as well. But at least Clark has used different compounds, unlike what happened with GRM at Montreal.
Yeah, I do remember when GRM, as Kinnunen is close here. Is he close enough to make the move into Copse? He's going alongside. on the inside. Farina, we've seen it where, I think Farina's going to hold it. Yeah, seen it when two cars are side by side at a certain point there. The car on the outside, if the car on the inside doesn't, get far enough alongside, then the car on the outside tends to hold it or get better traction out of cops.
And that was why Farina was able to hold on to second. Bryant has got ahead of Thomas Gonzalez for 7th place, and it does look like Gonzalez is actually going to the end, so he was originally on that two-stop strategy, so he just brought his first pit stop forward when he had that front wing change.
That was a bit petty there with how Farina was moving all over the place, and Kimlin was getting really close there. But yeah, Gonzalez's race it's been distorted big time with that front wing change.
And Hamilton has just taken Magnussen for P4, by the way. He's made the move on that lap.
Is that hopefully that's just an overtake and not. Hopefully that's just an overtake and not, worse.
Probably just an overtake. They were only half a second apart as they started that lap. We'll see in a few seconds' time whether that is a true overtake, and Clark's not that far behind. So yeah, I think that was a genuine overtake.
And Kimlin was a lot further back that time going into Copse, but he will be in a better position on the hangar straight.
Yep, and nicely in the slipstream, pulling out of it. And can Kimmonen take second this time into Stowe Corner? And he's got that one nice and easy.
Yeah.
It's a Tornado 1-2.
Pretty comfortably there. Well, for now, a lot can happen. As we know in FF1M, a lot can happen in 8 or 9 laps.
And that's a replay of how Hamilton got ahead of Magnussen there.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward stuff on slightly fresher rubber. And now, we're looking at the other FGR, though, is on the attack. And this is for the final point.
You can just see the straight line speed difference between the CBA and the FGR. And yeah, probably is a legacy.
She's going to have to do it on the brakes.
Yes, yeah. But that's a legacy of me not having the best car in a straight line. So, yeah. Caraccio's got her work cut out if she's going to get points, but so far, no mechanical problems this race for her.
And also, she's being shown the blue flag at this point, with Charles catching up behind. And we now got Clark in 6th, chasing down Magnussen. I think I'd be very surprised if Magnussen can do anything about this.
Insert aforementioned straight line speed issue comments here. But yes, looks like Clark on those fresher tyres compared to Magnussen could be heading for 5th place.
This year's Mercedes versus the Aston Martin. In terms of power and tyre difference.
And to Maggots, that's a brave one.
That's that would have been an unorthodox move, that.
Yeah, I'd have been impressed with that one.
I don't think Clark needs to overcomplicate this too much.
Now here comes the speed.
Just had to bide his time and that was it, yeah. There's absolutely nothing Magnussen could do about that. I'm kind of surprised Clark even went defensive there on the counter, and I think he should get Lewis as well, who's on a 2-stop strategy with old rubber, and Katarina still trying to find a way past Gonzalez, and she better get a move on here, because the other CBA is coming up behind her soon, and that could be an interesting freeway battle for the final point as it stands. And we've got Clark here on the back of Lewis, with 2 laps including this one. I think 2 laps.
Customer Mugen in front of manufacturer Mugen, so there'll be a difference in ERS use. Unless, because Mugen have changed the ERS limit that Mitchell can run, so maybe Mitchell are allowed to run fairly high ERS this time, but You feel like this one's going to be another formality, and what will be their final lap, as Leclerc and Kinnunen are now on.
Yeah, final lap for both Tornadoes, and as long as we can avoid a dark wolf repeat of I think it was Hockenheim one year. It wasn't the final lap, but it was close to the end, and both blew up in close proximity. And Clark having a go at Hamilton. Hamilton holds on just about around the outside, but he's going to be a sitting duck on the hangar straight.
Through Beckett's the right now, and then the left of Chapel. Let's see how Clark judges this one. Looking at the left, looking to do the dummy. And here comes the straight line advantage of Ajayrious, probably. And up into 4th place goes Clark. And here comes Charles Leclerc out of Luffield. He's played this one really well, used his 2-stop strategy to perfection for his 2nd win of the season.
Yay!
And Caracciola just taken Gonzalez, who blew an engine.
Oh!
But they made the finish. Wow, right at the last corner.
That's unlucky, that. That's almost like, unlike Jenson Button in Australia all those years ago, at least he made it past the line, although he still doesn't score any points. And neither does Taylor as well, so unfortunately no points for VBA that time. But it is a 1-2 for a Tornado, and I can't complain about that.
Yeah, and that will certainly boost your team's championship chances. Though Gajera 3rd and 4th, that's still useful points for them, and the real loser out of that will be Shake and Bake, with only 1 point score for Nolan Bryant. And there's confirmation of those results. So, Farina 3rd, Clark 4th, Hamilton, a pretty good race for himself in the Mitchell 5th, Magnussen 6th, Bryant 7th, and from last on the grid, at the last corner, Caterina Caracciola gets a point. She had to rely on something unorthodox there, out of the ordinary. No offence, but she was never going to do it in a straight line. No, she needed a bit of luck to get that point, but I'll take it anyway. The CBA will probably be unhappy about that, as will quite a lot of the drivers who have retired, and they include Fernando Alonso. That's the major one. Both Andrews, both Monoliths, both Tilsleys, and an AJ, and only one Judd retired this time. Yes,
that's definitely a marked improvement on Judd's reliability, although the Andrews going out costing the climax development there. But anyway, the team's championship, Farina still has a 13-point lead on Alonso, and an 18-point lead on Kinnunen, and 23 on Charles. Still, I mean, we're at the halfway point of the season now, so there's plenty of races to, claw that gap in. But I do have to remember that Gajira have the advantage of boosted car development because they're on a year 2 car and Tornado's a year 3. So we are. I feel like we are still the underdogs, despite this, latest triumph. And 17 points behind in the constructors.
And a further 17 is Shake and Bake from Gajera, and pretty good battle for 4th developing between Mitchell, FJR, and I expect CBA and Andrew to be involved in that as well.
Yes, absolutely. I certainly enjoyed that race, maybe for some obvious reasons, but yeah.
And we will be returning for the next FF1M race, which will be at Hockenheim. And there's some 1995 news coming as well. So, from the two of us, we shall see you soon.
Can't wait for it. Adios.